The night was cold, and the alien city lay under a strange red sky. Streets were full of flickering lights, but no warmth lived there. Doors were shut tight, and voices were hushed, as if everyone feared to speak too loudly. Through these empty streets a mother ran. Her skin was pale blue, her eyes wide with panic, and her arms carried a small, fragile child. The girl's breathing was slow and weak. Her little chest rose, then fell, then almost did not rise again. "Please, please stay with me," the mother whispered, pressing her face against her daughter's. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Her heart pounded like a drum of fear. She reached the first shop. The sign read, "Pharmacy." She pushed the door open, so hard that it banged against the wall. Inside, an alien shopkeeper looked up in surprise. "My child," the mother cried. "She is sick. Please, I need medicine. Anything for fever, for the infection. Please." The shopkeeper's eyes turned, cold. He shook his head slowly. "We do not sell to people like you anymore. Go away." Her knees weakened. "Please, she will die without help," she begged, placing her child on the counter for him to see. The little girl coughed, a small, broken sound that made even the air shiver. But the shopkeeper looked away. He picked up his ledger, pretending not to hear. The mother screamed in pain, grabbed her child, and ran out again. She stumbled to the next building, pounding on the door. "Help me," she shouted. "My daughter is dying." The door cracked open just enough for a face to peek out. "Not my problem," a voice hissed. The door slammed shut with a final thud. The mother's heart felt like glass breaking into pieces. Her child whimpered softly, her tiny hand clutching at her mother's dress as if she knew she was slipping away. "No. No. Don't leave me," the mother whispered, rocking the child in her arms as she walked. Her legs were shaking, but she forced herself to keep moving. The streets grew darker. Somewhere in the distance, a machine roared. Smoke curled in the air. The city was alive, yet full of silence toward her suffering. She entered another street where a group of aliens stood talking. She fell to her knees before them. "Please, I beg you, someone must have medicine. She has only hours." The group glanced at her child, then at each other. One muttered, "Why should we waste our supplies on her kind?" Another spat on the ground. The mother could not believe it. Were they truly so cruel? Did no one have a heart? Her daughter's eyes fluttered weakly open for a moment. "Mama," she whispered, barely a breath. Then her eyes closed again. The mother screamed and shook her child lightly. "No, no, no. Stay awake, my love. Stay with me." But the child was slipping deeper into the shadows of sickness. Hours felt like days. The mother's feet were bleeding from running, her arms heavy, but she never stopped. Shop after shop, house after house. Always the same answer. No help, no care, no medicine. She collapsed in an alley, her body trembling with exhaustion. She held her child close, rocking back and forth. "Why?" she cried into the night. "Why will no one help us? What crime did we commit that even a child must suffer?" Her cries echoed off the metal walls, but no answer came. Only silence. The child's breathing grew faint like a candle about to die. Each breath was a battle. Each second, a war. The mother placed her hand on her child's forehead. It burned with fever. She remembered the laughter of her daughter, the way she once ran through fields chasing small glowing insects. Now she lay still, her light fading. "No. I will not lose you," the mother whispered fiercely. "I will not give up. Even if the whole world turns away, I will fight for you." Her eyes turned to the sky. Stars shimmered faintly above the city, hidden behind clouds of smoke. She prayed to those distant lights. "If anyone hears me, if anyone has mercy, send me hope. Send me someone." Her voice cracked with desperation. Tears fell onto the child's face like drops of rain. The mother stood again, though her body begged her to stop. She stumbled forward, clutching her child. Each step felt like walking through fire. At last she reached the edge of the city. The streets were empty here, only shadows and silence. She fell to her knees once more, too weak to continue. She pressed her forehead against her child's and whispered, "Don't leave me, my love. Please don't leave me alone." And then, footsteps, soft at first, then louder. Someone was coming. The mother froze, her heart racing. Was it another cruel stranger who would reject her? Or was this the answer to her desperate cry? She held her breath, clutching her child tighter as the shadow of a figure appeared at the end of the street. The figure in the distance did not come closer. He only passed by, vanishing into the shadows. The alien mother's heart sank. She had hoped for a moment that someone had finally come to help, but it was only another stranger who did not care. Her child stirred faintly in her arms. The girl's lips were pale, her breaths shallow and uneven. Each inhale sounded like a whisper, each exhale like a fading echo. The mother leaned close. "Stay with me, little star," she whispered. "Don't let go." But the child's head dropped against her shoulder, her body limp. Panic struck the mother like lightning. She pressed 2 fingers against her daughter's neck, searching for a pulse. It was there, but faint, so faint it felt as if it might vanish at any moment. "No, no, no," she cried softly. "You cannot leave me. You cannot." The mother staggered to her feet again. The city around her seemed even colder now, every wall a prison, every light a mockery of her suffering. She passed windows where families ate warm meals, children laughed, and music played, yet none of them opened their doors for her child. The little girl coughed weakly, a dry, rattling sound that tore at the mother's soul. The mother pressed her lips against the child's burning forehead, trying to transfer her own strength. "Breathe," she begged. "Please, just breathe." But the girl's chest rose slowly, then stopped for a second too long. The mother screamed, shaking her gently until the chest rose again. Relief came, but it was thin and fragile. As she walked, she thought of the past. Her daughter was not always this weak. Once, she had been the brightest spirit in the village. She ran faster than other children, climbed higher, laughed louder. She had dreams. Dreams of seeing the stars, of becoming a traveler, of finding worlds full of light. Now those dreams hung by a thread, tied only to each shallow breath. The mother felt anger mixed with fear. Anger at those who turned away. Anger at herself for being powerless. Anger at the universe for letting innocents suffer. She shouted at the empty street, her voice hoarse. "Is this what you call justice? To let a child die because no one will share medicine? Is this what we have become?" No one answered. Only the sound of her daughter's fragile breath reminded her she was not alone. The night grew colder. Frost formed on the edges of broken glass windows. The mother's body shivered, but she wrapped her cloak tighter around her child, ignoring her own pain. She reached a fountain in the city square. Its water was dirty, glowing faintly under the red sky. She dipped a cloth into the water and pressed it against her daughter's forehead, hoping to cool the fever. The child stirred again. Her eyes opened, dim and unfocused. She looked at her mother weakly and whispered, "Mama, it hurts." The mother's heart cracked. She forced a smile, though her tears betrayed her. "I know, little star, but you are strong. Stronger than anyone. You will fight through this." The girl blinked slowly, her tiny hand lifting as if to touch her mother's face, but it fell before reaching her. The mother caught it quickly, pressing it against her cheek. "Don't stop fighting," she whispered. Her mind raced. There had to be a way. Somewhere someone must still have medicine. Perhaps in the forbidden districts, where smugglers dealt in secrets. It was dangerous, but danger meant nothing compared to her daughter's life. She lifted her child and began to walk again, each step heavier than the last. Her legs shook, her breath came fast, but she refused to stop. Behind her, voices echoed. 2 guards were patrolling. She froze, clutching her daughter tightly. If they saw her, they might take the child away or worse, throw her out of the city. She crouched low in the shadows, holding her breath. The guards' footsteps came closer, then passed. Relief swept over her, but it was brief. The child coughed, again louder this time. The guards turned their heads. "Did you hear that?" one asked. "Yes," the other replied. The mother's blood ran cold. She covered her child's mouth gently, whispering, "Please, not now, little one. Please." But the coughing continued. The guards began walking toward the sound. The mother's heart pounded. She had to choose, run or hide. If she ran, the child might not survive the strain. If she stayed, the guards would find her. She looked down at her daughter's pale face. "Forgive me," she whispered, and then she ran. Her feet pounded against the stone streets, echoing through the night. The guards shouted, chasing after her. Her child cried softly in fear, but the mother whispered, "Hold on, just hold on." A little longer. She darted into narrow alleys, slipping between broken walls, her cloak flying behind her. The guards' voices grew fainter until finally they were gone. The mother collapsed against a wall, gasping for breath. Her arms trembled, but she held her child close, whispering soothing words. The girl's breathing was weaker now, almost gone. Her little chest barely moved. "No," the mother cried, pressing her ear to the child's chest. The heartbeat was faint, so faint she thought it had stopped. Tears blurred her vision. She rocked her daughter desperately. "Stay with me, please. Don't go where I cannot follow." "Not yet, not now." For a long moment there was silence. The mother thought her child was gone. But then, a small, fragile gasp. The girl inhaled again. She was still alive, barely. The mother clutched her tightly, sobbing with relief. "You're still here, my little star, you're still here." But in her heart she knew. Time was running out. 1 more hour, perhaps less, and the weak breaths would stop forever. She looked to the dark horizon of the city. Somewhere out there, hope still had to exist. Somewhere, someone had the power to save her child. And she swore to the stars above, "I will find it. I will not let you die." Her journey was not over. It was only beginning. The city slept in cold silence. Red lights flickered on the walls, casting long shadows. The alien mother stumbled forward, her daughter limp in her arms. The child's breaths were weaker than ever, each one like a thread ready to snap. The mother's legs trembled, but she forced herself to keep walking. Every step was agony, but stopping was worse. If she stopped, her little girl might never breathe again. She turned into an empty street at the edge of the city. Broken lamps buzzed faintly and trash rolled in the wind. Here, no one lived, no one cared. Only silence. The mother's hope was almost gone. She sank to her knees, holding her child tightly. "I tried," she whispered. "I tried everything. Please forgive me." Her voice cracked. "I cannot lose you." And then, footsteps. At first she thought it was only her imagination. But no, the sound was real. Slow, heavy footsteps echoing across the stone ground. Her eyes widened. In the distance, a tall figure emerged from the shadows. The shape was strange, unlike any alien she knew. The figure drew closer. A cloak covered his shoulders, but his face was clear now. Skin not blue, not green, but pale like stone touched by sunlight. His eyes were sharp, glowing faintly in the dim light. His movements were steady, strong. The mother gasped. She had heard of this kind before. Outsiders. Humans. The city spoke of them with fear and hatred. Stories claimed they were dangerous, selfish, and violent. Yet here one stood, walking calmly toward her. She clutched her daughter closer, torn between fear and hope. Should she run? Or beg? The human stopped a few steps away, his shadow falling over her. His eyes went straight to the child. What happened? His voice was deep but gentle. The mother swallowed hard. "She's sick," she whispered. "She needs medicine, but no one will give me any." The human knelt beside them, ignoring the cold ground. He placed 2 fingers lightly on the child's neck, then touched her forehead. His expression grew serious. Fever, weak pulse. Infection, he muttered, almost to himself. Then he looked at the mother. She doesn't have long. The mother's tears spilled over. I know, please. Do you have medicine? For a moment the human was silent. His eyes narrowed as if deciding something important. Then he said, yes, on my ship, but it's far. The mother's heart leapt. Medicine. Hope. But then fear returned. The city hated humans. If guards saw him carrying a sick alien child, they might arrest him, or worse. She shook her head. They will stop you, they will hurt you. The human's gaze hardened. Then let them try. Before the mother could speak, the child coughed again, weak and broken. The sound made the human move quickly. Without asking, he slipped his arms under the child and lifted her gently. The mother gasped. Wait. But the human only said, if we waste time, she will die. Come. His voice carried no doubt, no fear. The mother, trembling, followed him. The streets were quiet, but danger was never far. They moved quickly, the human's long strides steady and purposeful. The mother hurried beside him, her heart pounding. They turned a corner and froze. 2 guards stood at the end of the street. The guards' eyes went wide when they saw the human carrying the alien child. Stop, one shouted. Put the girl down. The human kept walking. Stop or we will attack, the other guard yelled, drawing a weapon. The mother panicked. Please, they will kill you, she whispered. But the human's voice was calm, steady, like iron. If they stop me, she dies, and I don't let children die. The guards aimed their weapons. The human raised his voice, firm and clear. This child has done nothing wrong. She is dying. Do you want her blood on your hands? The guards hesitated. For a moment, silence filled the street. The mother held her breath. But then, one of the guards sneered. She is not our problem. You are the problem. Humans are not welcome here. The human's eyes turned sharp, dangerous. Then try to stop me. Before the guards could fire, he moved. With lightning speed, he kicked the weapon from one guard's hand, grabbed the other by the arm and shoved him aside. The mother watched in shock. He was strong, faster than anyone she had seen. The guard stumbled, shouting in anger, but the human didn't slow. He carried the child tightly, striding forward as if nothing could block his path. The mother ran behind him, heart racing. They escaped into another street. The guards' shouts faded behind them. The mother was shaking. You fought them as if it was nothing. The human glanced at her. I don't like fighting, but I will do anything to protect a child. Those words struck the mother's heart. No alien had cared enough to help. Yet here was a stranger, an outsider, risking his life for her daughter. She looked at him differently now, not as a dangerous outsider, but as a shield, a hope, a miracle. Finally, they reached the edge of the city. Beyond lay the wastelands where the human's ship was hidden. The mother's legs were trembling from exhaustion, but she kept going. The child's breathing grew weaker still. The mother whispered, Please, hold on, my little star. Just a little longer. The human glanced at her and said firmly, She will live, I promise. And for the first time in what felt like forever, the mother believed. The wasteland stretched ahead, silent and dark under the red sky. Broken towers leaned like dying giants, and the ground was cracked and dry. The human carried the sick child carefully in his arms, his jaw set with determination. The alien mother walked close beside him, her eyes darting in every direction. Every breath from her daughter sounded weaker than the last. Sometimes it was just a faint wheeze, almost silent. Each time the mother's heart stopped, terrified it was the final breath. The human spoke in a low, steady voice. She's still fighting. Don't give up. The mother nodded, though her tears wouldn't stop. How far is your ship? On the other side of these ruins, he said. Not far, but we must hurry. They moved quickly, but the wasteland was dangerous. Bandits hid in the shadows and scavengers hunted anything weak. The human's eyes scanned the path ahead. He walked with the confidence of a soldier, every step controlled. The mother felt a strange sense of safety beside him, though fear still gnawed at her heart. Suddenly, voices echoed in the distance. A group of aliens stepped out from behind broken walls. They wore ragged armor and carried sharp weapons. Their eyes glowed with greed when they saw the human and the child. "Well, well," one of them sneered. "Look what we have here. A human, carrying treasure." The mother's heart pounded. She clutched the human's arm. "They'll take her, please." The bandits spread out, blocking the path. One pointed at the child. "Hand her over, sick or not, she's worth something." The human's expression turned cold. "She's worth everything, and you will not touch her." The bandits laughed. "Big words for an outsider. Kill him, take the girl." The fight was sudden. One bandit rushed forward with a blade. The human dodged swiftly, twisting his body so the child stayed safe in his arms. With a powerful kick, he sent the attacker crashing into the dirt. Another swung a club, but the human ducked and slammed his shoulder into the man's chest, knocking him down. The mother gasped. He was fighting with one arm while protecting, her daughter with the other. More bandits surrounded them. The mother screamed, "Please leave us alone, she's dying." But the bandits did not care. They only saw weakness, profit, and prey. The human's eyes burned with fury. "Then I'll make you care." He shifted the child carefully, holding her close against his chest, and with his free hand he fought like a storm. Every strike was precise, every move powerful. One by one the bandits fell back, groaning in pain. The mother watched in awe. No one in her city would have risked themselves for her child. Yet this human, a stranger, fought with his life to protect them. When the last bandit crawled away, the human turned back to her. His breath was heavy, but his grip on the child was steady. "Are you hurt?" he asked. The mother shook her head, still trembling. "No, but you—" "I'm fine," he cut her off. "We keep moving. Time is against us." They hurried through the ruins. The path was broken, full of sharp stones and fallen walls. The mother stumbled often, but the human pulled her up each time without slowing. The child whimpered softly. Her small body felt hotter, her breath shallower. The mother touched her forehead and gasped. "She's burning alive inside." The human's jaw tightened. "We're close. Hold on, little one." At last, the shape of a ship appeared in the distance. Sleek, silver, and half buried in sand, it stood like a forgotten relic among the ruins. The mother's eyes widened. "That's your ship?" "Yes," the human said. Relief flickered in his eyes. "We made it." But then, a new sound. Engines roared. Lights flashed. From the opposite side of the ruins, city patrols appeared in armored vehicles. Guards with rifles shouted through loudspeakers, "Stop! Human! You are under arrest! Hand over the alien child!" The mother's heart sank. "No, not now, please, not now." The human glared at the patrols. "They'll waste precious time arguing." "She doesn't have that time." The guards blocked the path to the ship. More poured in from behind, surrounding them. The mother's knees weakened. "We're trapped." But the human stood tall, eyes locked on the ship. His voice was steady, unshaken. "No, we're not trapped, not while I can still fight." The guards raised their weapons. The mother shielded her daughter with her body, but the human stepped in front of both of them, spreading his arms wide. "If you fire," he shouted, "you kill a child. Is that the law you protect? Is that your honor?" The guards hesitated. Some shifted uneasily. Yet their leader snarled, "Stand down, human, you have no place here." The human's voice grew louder, stronger. "I don't care about place. I care about life. And this life," he looked down at the small, fading child, "is more important than your pride." The moment hung in silence. Tension was thick. Then the child coughed, weak and broken. The sound pierced the air like a blade. Even the guards seemed shaken. The human used that moment. With sudden speed, he charged forward, breaking through their line. He shielded the girl with his body, bullets sparking off the ground around him. The mother screamed and ran after him. They dashed through gunfire across the cracked earth, straight toward the ship. The hatch hissed open as they approached. The human leapt inside with the child, pulling the mother in after him. The hatch slammed shut just as more guards surrounded the ship. The mother collapsed against the wall, clutching her chest. The child lay limp in the human's arms, her breath almost gone. The human set her gently on a bed inside the ship and rushed to a metal case. He opened it, revealing glowing vials of medicine. "We made it," he said, his voice rough with exhaustion. "Now we fight for her life." The mother, shaking and crying, whispered, "Please, save her." The human nodded once. "I will." Inside the human's ship, the air smelled of metal and dust. Lights flickered on as the engines hummed faintly in the background. The alien mother stood frozen, clutching the wall for support, her body trembling from exhaustion and fear. Her daughter lay on the narrow bed, her chest rising and falling so weakly that it looked like each breath might be the last. Her tiny hands twitched, then fell still again. The human opened a metal case on the wall. Inside were rows of glowing vials, each filled with shimmering liquid. He grabbed one quickly and pulled out a small injector. "This is it," he said. His voice was calm, but his hands moved with urgency. "It can fight the infection, but she's very weak. It may not be enough." The mother's eyes filled with tears. She stepped closer, her voice breaking. "Please, try. Even if there is one chance, I beg you." The human nodded once. He prepared the injector and pressed it against the child's thin arm. With a soft hiss, the medicine entered her body. For a moment, nothing happened. Silence filled the ship. Then the child let out a small gasp. Her body twitched, and her eyes fluttered halfway open. "She's breathing," the mother whispered in awe. "She's really breathing." But her relief was short. The human frowned deeply. "The fever is still high. The medicine is working, but too slowly. She needs rest and another dose soon. We don't have much time." Outside, the ship trembled. Heavy footsteps echoed against the hull. The mother froze. "What was that?" The human's eyes narrowed. He looked at the monitor. Shapes moved outside. Dozens of them. Armed aliens were surrounding the ship. The patrol guards had not given up. Worse, they had brought reinforcements. The human muttered under his breath. "They won't stop. They'd rather see her die than admit a human saved her." The mother's hands shook. "What will they do?" "They'll try to break in," he said flatly. "If they get inside, we won't stand a chance, and your daughter, she won't survive the chaos." The mother's breath caught. "Then what do we do?" The human stood tall, his eyes like steel. "We fight. But first, we make sure she's safe." He turned to the bed, adjusting the child so she lay more comfortably. He placed a protective shield over her, a transparent cover that would block dust, noise, even stray bullets. "She will be safe here," he said. "Now we hold them off." The ship shook harder as fists pounded against the hatch. Voices shouted from outside. "Come out, human! Surrender the girl." The mother's fear turned to rage. She stepped closer to the human. "They don't care if she lives or dies. Why? She is only a child." The human's jaw clenched. "Because fear blinds them, because cruelty is easier than kindness." He handed her a small metal rod, an electric baton. "Stay close to me. If they break through, you defend her." The mother's fingers trembled as she held the weapon. She had never fought before, but for her daughter she would. The first explosion came. The ship rattled, alarms blaring. The hatch glowed red under the heat of plasma torches. "They're cutting through," the human said. His voice remained calm, but his body was tense, like a coiled spring. The mother's heart raced. She looked back at her daughter lying still under the shield. "Please, just hold on," she whispered. The metal screeched. Sparks flew. A hole opened in the hatch, and a clawed hand reached inside. The human moved like lightning. He pulled a lever, and the ship's inner defenses activated. Metal shutters slammed down, sealing parts of the corridor. But the attackers kept pushing. The mother raised the baton, her knees shaking. She stood by her daughter's side, ready. The hatch burst open with a thunderous crash. Armed aliens stormed inside, their eyes filled with hatred. "There he is," one shouted. "Kill the human," they charged. The human met them head-on. With powerful strikes, he disarmed the first, throwing him into the wall. Another swung a blade, but the human blocked it with his arm and countered with a swift kick. The fight exploded in flashes of steel and bone. The mother gasped as one attacker slipped past, rushing toward the shielded bed. "No!" she screamed, swinging the baton. Electricity cracked through the air, striking the alien's chest. He collapsed, twitching, and the mother's hands shook with shock. She looked down at her daughter, still lying unconscious, and whispered, "I will protect you, even if it kills me." The battle raged inside the narrow ship. The human fought like a storm, but the attackers kept coming. Their numbers seemed endless. Blood dripped from a cut on his arm, but his grip never faltered. Every strike he made was to protect, not to destroy. He fought with the fury of someone who refused to let innocence die. At last, the attackers began to fall back, dragging their wounded with them. The human stood in the center of the ship, chest rising and falling, sweat dripping from his brow. The mother stared at him in disbelief. He had stood against them all and won, but then a heavy boom shook the ship. The human rushed to the monitor. His eyes narrowed. "No. This is worse." The mother's voice trembled. "What now?" He pointed to the screen. Outside, a massive vehicle rolled into the ruins, its cannons glowing with deadly light. "They brought heavy weapons. One hit from that and this ship will be dust." The mother's heart sank. "Then this is the end?" The human turned to her, his eyes burning with unshakable fire. "No, not the end. But this will be the hardest fight yet." He walked back to the child's bed, resting his hand gently on the shield above her. "She deserves to live, and I won't let anyone take that away. Not while I still stand." The mother's breath caught in her throat. For the first time, she believed him. And outside, the ground shook as the final obstacle prepared to strike. The ship shook violently as the massive vehicle outside prepared its cannons. The alien mother grabbed the bed where her daughter lay, shielding her as dust fell from the ceiling. The human glanced at the monitors again. "They mean to destroy us." His voice was low but steady. The mother's heart sank. "If the ship falls, she will never survive." The child's breathing was faint, almost too faint to hear. Her skin glistened with sweat, and her lips were pale. The medicine given earlier had slowed the fever, but it was not enough. She needed another dose. Now. The human rushed to the metal case. His hands moved fast, searching through the glowing vials, but his brow furrowed. The mother stepped closer. "What's wrong?" "There's more medicine," he said grimly, "but these are unstable. Some are too old, expired. If I inject the wrong one, it could kill her instead of saving." The mother's chest tightened. "Then what do we do? You must choose." The ship shook again, a loud boom outside signaling the heavy cannons charging. Time was running out. The human studied the vials carefully, his sharp eyes darting from one to the next. He picked up a blue vial, then hesitated, setting it down. His hand hovered over a silver vial. He cursed under his breath. "She has minutes left," he muttered. "I can't test them all." The mother dropped to her knees. Beside him, her hands clasped. "Please, please choose. She cannot wait." Her voice cracked, raw with desperation. "I don't care if I die, but don't let my daughter die." The human looked at her, really looked. Her face was streaked with tears, her body bruised from running, yet her eyes burned with fierce love. He picked up one vial, a golden liquid, that pulsed faintly. "This one, this is the strongest. It could burn the infection out, or..." He paused. "Or it could burn her heart." The mother's hands shook. "Do it. I would rather take the risk than watch her fade away." Outside, the ground quaked again as the massive cannon locked onto the ship. A voice boomed through speakers. "This is your last warning, human. Surrender." The human ignored it. He filled the injector with the golden liquid. His hands were steady now. He moved to the child's side. The mother held her breath as he pressed the needle gently against the girl's arm. He whispered almost like a prayer, "Be strong, little one. You're braver than any of us." With a soft hiss, the liquid entered her veins. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the child arched suddenly, her small body trembling. The mother screamed in fear, grabbing her hand. "No, stay with me." Her eyes flickered open, glowing faintly with the golden light of the medicine. Her breath came fast, sharp, as if her body was fighting itself. The human leaned close, watching every sign. Her body is rejecting. No. Wait. The child gasped loudly, then coughed, expelling dark fluid onto the sheets. Her chest rose and fell rapidly, sweat pouring off her. The fever seemed to break like glass shattering. The mother's eyes widened. She's fighting it." "Yes," the human said, relief breaking through his voice. "The medicine is working." But outside, the enemies were not waiting. The ship shook violently as the first cannon shot slammed into its shield. Sparks flew across the control panels. "Shields down to 60%, the human muttered, his hands flying across controls. "We won't last long." The mother crouched beside her daughter, who now breathed more strongly, though still weak. The girl whispered, barely audible, "Mama, it's cold." The mother kissed her forehead, tears falling. "You'll be warm soon, my little star. Just rest." The human stood, his eyes fierce. "She's stable, for now. But if we don't get out of here, she won't survive another blast." Another explosion rocked the ship. The mother clung to her child as sparks rained down. The human pulled a lever and the engines roared. The ship trembled, lifting slightly from the ground. Outside, shouts of panic rose from the soldiers as dust swirled into the air. "They're trying to take off," one shouted. The massive vehicle fired again. The ship jolted violently, alarm screaming. The mother cried out, "We can't survive another hit." The human's eyes narrowed. "Then we don't wait for it." He slammed his hand onto the controls, forcing the engines into full power. The ship roared, shaking the ruins apart as it lifted higher. Outside, enemies scattered, some firing wildly, but their shots bounced harmlessly off the rising vessel. The massive cannon charged once more, glowing with deadly energy. "Brace yourself," the human shouted. The ship surged upward. The cannon fired. A blinding flash lit the sky. The blast grazed the side of the ship, tearing metal, but the vessel did not fall. It climbed higher and higher, leaving the ground forces behind. Inside, the mother collapsed to her knees, clutching her daughter close. The girl's breathing was still fragile, but stronger than before. Her fever had broken. The worst had passed. The mother looked up at the human. Her voice shook. You saved her. Twice. I can never repay this." The human turned away from the controls, his face weary but calm. "I didn't do it for repayment. I did it because no one else would." The mother's tears fell freely now, not of fear, but of gratitude. She pressed her forehead to her daughter's and whispered, "You're safe now. You're safe." But deep inside, she knew the danger was not over. They had escaped the ground forces, but enemies would come again. The human seemed to know it too. He looked out the window into the endless red sky. His voice was low, almost to himself. "This isn't finished, but tonight, a child lives." And for the first time in days, the alien mother felt hope. The ship soared through the red clouds, leaving the broken city far behind. Alarms had fallen silent, and the engines hummed with steady power. Inside, the chaos faded into quiet. The alien mother sat beside her daughter's bed, stroking the child's thin hair. The girl's breathing was soft but stronger now, no longer broken or shallow. Her skin was cooler, the fever slowly melting away. The mother whispered, "You're safe, little star. You're safe now." Tears rolled down her cheeks, this time not of fear, but of relief. The human checked the monitors one last time before turning toward them. His arm was bloodied from the fight, his clothes torn, but his eyes remained calm. He walked over and knelt by the bed, studying the child closely. "She will live," he said quietly. "She still needs rest and more medicine later. But she's out of danger." The mother covered her mouth with her hands. For the first time in days, she let herself breathe freely. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you 1,000 times." The little girl stirred. Her eyelids fluttered open. Weak but conscious, she turned her head slowly toward her mother. "Mama," she whispered. The mother leaned close, clutching her hand. "I'm here, my love, I never left you." The child blinked, her small eyes drifting to the human beside the bed. For a moment she only stared. Then, with effort, she whispered, "Who is he?" The mother smiled through her tears. "He is the one who saved you." The girl's lips curved into the faintest smile. She lifted her trembling hand toward the human. The human looked surprised. Slowly, carefully, he took her hand in his. Her tiny fingers curled weakly around his. "Thank you," she whispered. The human's expression softened. For a moment, the weight of battles, rejection, and hatred melted away. He bowed his head slightly and said, "Rest, little one. You are safe now." Outside the window, stars began to appear as the ship broke free of the city's polluted sky. Clear and bright, they shone like diamonds scattered across the endless black. The mother gazed at them, remembering her daughter's old dreams of seeing stars, of traveling beyond their world. Now, by some miracle, she had lived to see them again. The mother turned to the human. "Why?" she asked softly. "Why did you help us? You risked your life, you fought an army, for a child who is not even your own." The human was silent for a long moment. He looked at the stars before answering. "Because no one else would," he said simply. "Because every child deserves a chance to live. And because sometimes that doing the right thing is all that matters." His words hung in the air like truth carved into stone. The mother felt her chest tighten. No alien in her city would have spoken like this. No one had lifted a hand when she cried for help. Yet this human, a stranger, had risked everything for them. The child drifted back to sleep, her hand still, curled in the human's. The mother reached out and covered both their hands with hers. "You are no stranger to me anymore," she whispered. "You are family." The human looked at her, startled. Then, slowly, he nodded. Hours passed. The ship traveled far from the city, across the wastelands and into the quiet of space. The mother dozed beside her daughter, exhaustion finally claiming her. The human sat watch, his eyes never leaving the monitors. But his mind was elsewhere. He thought of the hatred he had seen, the rejection that almost killed a child. He thought of how cruel people could be when blinded by fear, and yet he also thought of the bond formed here, stronger than fear, stronger than hate. When the mother awoke, she found him still at his post, eyes weary but alert. "You haven't rested," she said softly. He shook his head. "Not until I know you're both safe." The mother's eyes filled again. She realized this human was more than a savior. He was a protector, someone who carried the weight of others' lives on his shoulders without asking for reward. The child woke again, stronger this time. She sat up slowly, her voice clearer. "Mama, I dreamed of the stars." The mother kissed her forehead. "They're real. Look outside." The girl turned her head, her eyes widening at the sight of the endless galaxy beyond the window. For the first time in weeks, her face lit with wonder. "Beautiful," she whispered. The human smiled faintly. "They're waiting for you. You have many more years to see them." The child looked at him, her small voice firm despite her weakness. Will you stay with us? The human hesitated, caught off guard. Then he looked at the mother. She met his eyes without hesitation. Please, stay. We owe you more than life itself. You are part of us now. Silence filled the ship for a moment, only the hum of the engines breaking it. Then the human nodded once firmly. I'll stay, for as long as you need me. The mother smiled through fresh tears, pulling her daughter close. The little girl smiled too, her hand reaching once more for the humans. In that moment, something greater than blood tied them together, a bond forged in fire, fear, and sacrifice, a bond that no hatred could break. As the ship sailed into the endless stars, the narrator's voice seemed to echo. In a world that turned away, it was humanity that answered the cry. And sometimes one human's kindness can change not just a life, but an entire galaxy.